Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Hump Day. Pat, how are you? It seems like you're pouring yourself a second or third drink.
I was celebrating how smoothly the intro was going, and then I knocked my
Props,
shot off the
buddy.
table and
No
spilled it
way.
all over the place. So never spike the ball. I've learned that in my life.
Never spike the ball
It
too
reminds
early.
me, just a quick little story, which when we were kids, I was talking smack. We were on a school ski trip, and we were going down this hill. And I was like, you guys are going down the small hill. You're a bunch of wimps, man. And one of those little mini sled things, the spinner.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, every spin, it's like tree, until blam, I hit the tree. So talking smack my entire life has always cost me.
Yeah, that just might be confirmation bias. You might only remember the times where it didn't work out well for you.
I only remember the times when I break my arm and my fingers are in those little Chinese strings and they're hanging weights off my elbow to set my arm for hours.
Horrible. Yeah. That's awful.
So
that's way worse than who's the basketball player that's always, it's the gif that people always do when someone spikes the ball. Was it Nick Young? Is that his name? Where he like throws it, turns around, he's like, he's like celebrating.
Oh, yeah, the Laker guy.
Yeah, of course it's a Laker guy. I know. How's your week? How you doing? What's going on with you?
Good. Today I took my new kitten and his brother and mom to the vet. So
look at you, everybody hunky dory.
Got a new little kitten. My current cat is not too stoked on it. I don't know if you could see that.
It's hard to see there, but you send me photos. I mean, when you get cuts on your palm, that's serious. That's like, that hurts.
And they're like the kind of cuts you see in movies where a samurai sword goes through somebody and then their head falls off because they're that deep. Like it's like, did that hurt? Is it going to bleed? And then all of a sudden it just gushes.
Right. Oh,
he's vicious.
Oh, you are very kind to keep him around, I have to say.
He's cool though.
Yeah.
How's your week? I know you've been in the strike lines.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Today, 100 days to the writers. Cheers to the writers for holding the line. It's been 100 days now, which I think is as long as the one in 2007, 2008, where we lost our house. So I wonder what we'll lose this time. And there's no sign of negotiations. There was like a fake one on Friday, and they came to the table, Writers Guild and the negotiator for AMPTP, and basically the Writers Guild people said, some of their deal points that they wanted, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go talk to my people, and left. Like, okay, so that was where it ended 100 days ago. So yeah, good talk. But yes, been on the strike line. I will say that as hot as it is here, there is something about being among people who are all fighting for something together. There's a ton of solidarity on the line. People are doing things for each other, spraying each other with spray bottles, passing out water, popsicles, pizza, a lot of masks, which
amen.
Yeah, amazing. When I usually don't wear masks outside unless I'm in like very crowded. But like there's enough distance that I have felt comfortable not wearing masks, but I think I might start just because, I don't want people to think that I always thank them for wearing masks. And then I'm sure they're like, why aren't you wearing a mask? So I should probably start doing that. Although it is so hot and I am so sweaty. I know, play the smallest violin for me. And the picket sign jacked my already ruined neck. And now my back is out of place.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, I've been in picket lines not picket lines. I've been holding a sign, a protest sign for a long time. And it's really uncomfortable. Like someone needs to come up with some other solution, like the portable sign that's on a wheel that you roll or something.
Totally agree. Some people have it strapped to their back, which is really smart. But somebody the very first day when the actors showed up, obviously there's like 160,000 actors. So all of a sudden the strike lines, I had been doing it with Josh, my husband, as a writer, but they got packed. And it was like, oh God, we have a traffic jam on a picket line. Like that's so LA. But it has mostly been civil, except for the first week of the writers, two different times, a car hit going into, I think, Universal, hit a picketer. But since then it's been good. But I just saw that Adria wrote that, yes, which hotel was it at? I don't remember which hotel, but yeah, some of the striking workers, hotel workers, were beaten up by the hotel security. I mean, it's just vile. It's just vile. Anyway, let's bring a morsel of joy before we delve into the reality of what's happening. We are very excited to have on our show again our good friend Ron Placone. Hello, Ron. How are you?
Hey, good to see y'all.
It's so good to see you.
We gotta go to a picket together. I don't get to go. I mean, a lot of them are a little far from me, so I don't get to go all the time. But I try to go as much as I can. So we'll have to let's go to one together.
I would love it. I'm there. I didn't go today because we were putting our show together, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and in the Valley, which is where I live, which is a little hotter for those of you who aren't from this area. The Valley's even hotter. And actors are very delicate. They stop the picket at noon so that we're not in the blazing sun.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I could meet you over on the west side or something one of these days. If we can get there a little later, I'm all for it. That'd be fun.
Let's do it. Let's meet.
It really does, in the midst of all of this, to see people, and they're all wearing shirts. I mean, in addition to like Writers Strong and Actors Strong and all that kind of stuff, SAG Strong, like capitalism failed, or everybody, not everybody, a lot of people are on the same page, and there's something really nice about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, every time I've gone, it's been like a really positive experience, and you kind of know we're all and I think that, I mean, I wasn't around for the 2007 2008 one. I was just like an open micer in Seattle at the time. So, right. But I feel like this time people really they realize the historic significance of this one.
Yeah.
Like there's a sense of we're going to get it right now, so we don't have to do this even 10 years from now.
Right.
In the future. I feel like that's in the air, and that is encouraging.
It really is encouraging.
It is setting the tone for the future of streaming and revenue. Like if you lose this fight severely, you're going to have to claw for every little piece of
you're done
in the future. So
it's already so bad that like friends of mine who were offered series regular parts, $250 a day.
Oh my God.
And no residuals. And I know that can sound like a lot to people, but you give, 10% to your manager, 10% to your agent, 5% to your lawyer, and I think 2% to the guild.
Maybe you're only shooting for like 12 days or something.
Right. And it's hard to book a job. Like another woman who my husband had worked with, we just ran into her on the line. They did a profile on her, and I think Deadline. She booked 6 jobs last year. I know almost nobody who books 6 jobs a year. It is so hard to book a job and to book 6 jobs. And she has 3 other jobs, because even though it was like, she's doing so great and the new hot thing, you can't support yourself because you're constantly trying to get the next job. It's
Well, the good news is next year it won't matter because they'll just use her CGI and she can have 4 jobs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
No
exactly. Oh. All right. So Ron, we're so happy to have you here for as much of the show as you're able to do, which I hope is the whole thing, but we wanted to get to what you are focused on right now, which is bad internet bills.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about it?
Yeah. So right before the last congressional recess, which, shout out to them. They work very, very hard. They deserve every vacation they get. But they were trying to push through a couple pretty terrible tech bills. In particular, they were hyper-focused on a bill called COSA, which is the Kids Online Safety Act, which, of course, with the title...
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Who doesn't want to keep kids safe online?
Easy vote. That's a yes for me, Ron.
Yeah, but you read the details of this bill. Well, it doesn't do that. In fact, it's a censorship bill. It's an overreaching bill. It's basically meant to suppress any and all resources, in particular from LGBTQ youth. And it's no good. I mean, every human rights and digital rights organization opposes this bill. It's getting to the point where Senator Blumenthal has tried to get LGBTQ groups to support it. He's been trying to sell them on it, being like, no, this, and they're like, no, we know what this will actually do. It's not good. In fact, the Heritage Foundation said out loud that, yeah, we're supporting this bill because it suppresses resources from transgender people, which is what they want. Right. Ted Cruz has been doing the markup. So this bill is no good. It made it out of committee, which we kind of knew it would. But there was some opposition in the committee, a lot of concerns where they're like, you got to get rid of some of this stuff that's troubling, which hints that it probably won't go to the floor for a vote anytime soon, that's the good news. But we got to keep fighting. So people can go to badinternetbills.com, let their elected officials know that they don't stand for this or any of the other dystopian surveillance hellscape bills that are out there. And you can also go to stopcosa.com. That's stopcosa.com and demand that COSA doesn't move forward. COSA now has a stigma attached to it because of these efforts. And this was an effort coordinated by Fight for the Future, who I collaborate with, along with the ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and some other organizations as well. And, it has caused a ruckus. So, hopefully COSA is kind of stopped in its tracks here. But we gotta stay loud. So folks, if you can, please go to stopcosa.com, badinternetbills.com. Takes like 30 seconds to sign it, and it goes a long way.
Ron, did you say that Blumenthal is sponsoring that bill? Or sorry,
I don't know if I'm not sure if he's one of the sponsors, but he's definitely been one of the big supporters. Yeah, and he's been pushing. He's been pushing it, basically saying, oh, come on, it's a good bill. And it's, but no, there's a lot of concerning stuff in this bill. In fact, when it was getting marked up, it was being marked up by Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz made it even worse.
Right.
And, Ed Markey was one of the people who, got it right. And during the committee hearing, he voiced, his concerns, where he's like, there's a lot of concerns around this bill that need to be addressed before it can go to a vote. And it was actually kind of funny if you watch the hearing live, which of course I did, as Ed Markey was expressing those concerns, you saw Ted Cruz scrolling angrily on his phone.
Oh my God.
Was,
that's
every time he scrolls angrily on his phone, an angel gets its wings or something.
Well, if Bloomberg is backing it, I mean, have you considered that he's a Democrat now? He ran for president as a Democrat. I think that tells me it's a safe bill to vote for, and it's named right. It sounds like some good stuff. I'd ask you to reconsider, Ron, unless you're trying to help elect Trump. I think you should reconsider.
Well, Joe Biden has actually expressed his support for COSA, unfortunately.
Shocking. That's shocking.
Yeah, Joe Biden is getting this wrong. So, and
he gets a pass every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, and I'm not saying this on Joe Biden's behalf, he usually gets this stuff wrong, but there are some people who were on the wrong side of COSA just because, on the surface, it sounds like a good thing.
You're protecting kids and
Right. But when you read the details, it's like, oh no, this is not a good thing. Like there were, and a lot of people have flipped because of that. There were a lot of organizations even that supported COSA at first. Then when they kind of saw the details and they saw what other organizations had to say, that they kind of were like, okay, we got this one wrong. So.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, but when is the vote?
Well, it doesn't have a floor vote. Yeah, okay. I mean, the goal is to stop a floor vote.
Right. Okay.
Because if it goes to the Senate, there's definitely a chance it could pass the Senate. It does have more opposition in the House, which is good.
Right.
But then there's also, I mean, Joe Biden has expressed support, so he'd likely sign it. So the best course of action is to make sure we don't get a floor vote and just be loud as hell. So they're like, okay, this thing has a stigma. We're going to have to shelf this. So stopcosa.com, badinternetbills.com, please. And and if you already signed, call.
Oh, good to know, because I already signed. Definitely. All right.
Call them. They don't like calls. You flood them with calls. They have to listen to it.
Prank call them. Ron.
You prank call them. Go for it. Whatever you want to do.
I support COSA. Nah, I'm just kidding. And then make some funny thing. Ron can fill the gap in there.
Yeah, I call all the time. I am that guy.
Do you mostly just leave a message, or do you get somebody?
I usually get somebody, and I leave a message for them. And I do it locally too. I definitely call. Like I even know a couple people who work for city council person, and they've seen me, you know, like on the streets and stuff. They're like, "We got your last message," and I was like, "Well, good, doing my part."
Yeah, good.
Can you read it back to me?
I'm not so convinced.
Those calls, for whatever reason, make me so uncomfortable, and so I always write down my script ahead of time, just because I always feel flustered. I don't know why, but I'm just putting that out there for people who feel uncomfortable making phone calls like that. When you're just reading from a script, it kind of like distances you from it. It just makes it a little easier. So just putting it out there. Right. But yeah, those calls are. Yeah.
But honestly, if you just call and say, "Look, I'm a hard no on COSA, and this center can't vote for this," or then we'll lose my support. They'll lose my donation. I mean, if you frame it around money,
frame it around money. Yeah, that helps.
The thing that gets their ears up.
That helps. Be like, what is your name again? Joe Lobbyist. Do you need me to spell that? It's Joe Lobbyist.
Right. Yeah. I'm in oil and gas. That's all you need to know.
All right. And so is that the big one? Are there any other ones that you're worried about right now?
COSA is the big one right now. Badinternetbills.com kind of has a summary of all of like the dystopian, horrible tech bills that are out there. Right. And you know, I've been paying attention to this space. I just realized it. Like next year, I will have my 20th anniversary of, you know, being involved in this space in some capacity. Like I got interested in digital rights literally in 2004. So I'm coming up on my 20th anniversary of being a tech policy nerd. And, you know, I mean, it's important. I see the connection to labor rights. I see the connection to climate change. I see the connection to all these things. And, you know, when it comes to policy battles, it's like my cat wants attention, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and pick her up.
Oh, I'm so glad that was, I thought it was my kitten. And I was like, no, well, sorry, dude. You're out of luck.
For some reason, she won't jump up. She wants like picked up when it's like here, but only here. In any other context, she'll just kind of jump wherever she wants. But yeah, I just kind of do whatever she wants all the time. That's how you do cats.
Good dad.
You just do whatever they want all the time. This cat has it made, and she's also a no on COSA.
Good for her. What's her name?
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy. Oh, Reflect the Sun already said that. Look at that.
Aw, thanks for
Reflect the Sun. Who already knows.
Thank you very much. Well, the newest Lucy and Ron just dropped I think about a week ago. So yeah, lucyandron.com for anyone who wants to check out Lucy's comic.
All right. That sounds good. lucyandron.com and badinternetbills.com.
Yes.
Those are your assignments.
Sign first, and then you can read the cat comic as a reward.
All right. Well, should we get to it? We got a lot to discuss this week, a lot going on. Meltdowns all over the place. What do you think? Should we hash it out?
Let's do it.
What happened?
I'm supposed to turn that one off at some point.
A lot of black space there. We're new to this whole thing. Okay, we have got Under the Bus, Worst of the Week, I Can't Read, Airborne AIDS, Bidenomics, and This Is Fine.
We got a couple timeline cleanses.
Yeah.
We got that like 4 times.
4 timeline cleanses and 5 shots. We have our priorities. Let's spin the wheel.
Yeah, baby.
Oh.
We almost.
All right. Well, okay. Last week we had a couple technical difficulties, and we couldn't get to our worst of the week, which was, I'm just going to say it, Stephen Amell, the Arrow, who said he doesn't support the strike because he doesn't think that it's nice to deal with your overlords that way.
Didn't he walk that back? Didn't he like walk that back now?
I mean, he said something like, no, I support actors. I just don't think that strikes are the right way to go about negotiations.
So he didn't even really walk it back.
That was the last I heard. I don't know if he did something in addition to that. There was then, and we didn't have enough room in our graphics area, but a great TikTok of all of his co-stars when there was, I guess, a crossover between the Arrow and the Flash, and maybe he dies in it. I don't know. I hope that's not a spoiler, but apparently they were all like dancing on the fake grave and pointing at it because they were so happy to get rid of him from the set when he left. So
so he's not a cool guy on set
yeah,
either.
I don't think it was a one-off. Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong here. But that meme that exists of people pointing at the grave is allegedly, this is what the story is that meme, that picture of the meme is the cast talking about him, working with him.
I think so. The only one I recognized
got killed off.
Yeah, was the main. Yeah, I think that's what it was because that was what that whole TikTok was. So anyway, that was last week. We had technical difficulties, so we could not share it. But luckily, there's no shortage of worst of the week. And this week we have got Jim Cramer, who really does not like how the auto workers are striking. Here we go.
I want you to compare the labor negotiations here to the ones in auto, where I think there's going to be a strike, and I think it's going to be horrible.
You're making that call
September
today?
14th, I think they're going to strike. Chauvin, the guy who runs the UAW, I find him frightening.
And Teamsters UPS didn't give you any solace?
Teamsters turned out to be get a good deal. Teamsters historically very powerful union, rich union. But the UAW leader won. There was a very contested vote between the company, the union that wants to work with the autos together to try to preserve some jobs and give the elder people a good pay, and then this man, Sean, who is just talking about capitalism and the nature of capitalism and how it's really hurt workers. This is very Walter Reuther language. It's the kind of language that when we had in this country, will take you down if you don't play ball. That's the language I'm hearing from UAW. Yep. And
he still has said
it's
nothing.
The kind of language where you just say, you know what, we should have built all our EVs in Mexico. It's that bad. I don't think people are paying enough attention. The man is, I'm not saying he's irrational. I'm saying he was elected in order to make it so that there's a very short week to find benefit back. And then the notion that we're fat cats. The shareholders are fat cats and have been overly rewarded. We haven't seen this. He's class warfare. And it's very shocking to hear class warfare.
I remember Jim Cramer a while ago who lamented the...
Wait a minute. So,
okay,
he just spelled it out at the end there. Yeah. He really is against it because it's class warfare. And it's a clear us against them, and he's the them. That's what this is.
Exactly. And, it is so interesting, and we might get to it when we talk about the economy, but how Sean O'Brien was pumped up as being this tough talking, new kind of union leader who was going to look out for the rank and file. And, they were doing the strike practices and he was talking tough. And a week before they were set to strike, he negotiated the deal. And a lot of the rank and file aren't happy with it. But before any corporate media came to talk to them, there was just headline after headline about a historic deal. Look what happens when you've got a new kind of tough talking leader. Well, you know what? It turns out people like Jim Cramer are very happy with that deal. UPS seems pretty fine with that deal. And they're going to keep talking about it as if it was this historic, wonderful deal, which, it's better than nothing, I guess. But that's not what you do when you are negotiating for the rank and file. It still keeps a two-tier system. They took $25 off the table. They said, well, that's not realistic. We can only do 21. And everybody keeps praising him and lionizing him and acting like he was this tough talking union leader. And that is going to be used against every other union who might possibly have a leader who actually is willing to fight, as we're seeing.
So he has to be drunk, right? Like what? He always sounds like. I mean, yeah. I'm pretty sure that dude just gets drunk, and pushes his just half-baked bullshit, which is all just like, well, I get rich off of the Wall Street model, so anyone who has a problem with it is wrong. And I think did Jon Stewart have a bout with this guy? What's his name again? Jim
Cramer.
Cramer.
He's
yes.
What's that? CNBC Market Alert. He's the market guy.
He had a show for ages where he'd give stock tips, and he acted like one of those radio DJs where you like hit the buzzer. Burr, burr, burr,
Yeah.
That's a sell, and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And it turns out
was he drunk then too?
Not as bad as he is now. I think now, like his gig got called out publicly, so his stock with the public went down hard over getting exposed about,
how he was inflating
guys, they inflate stocks, and then they trade based on, they know they're going to have a show on this stock, and then that's going to affect the market because Jim Cramer just had a show on his own stock,
right?
So they got rich while telling everybody else how to lose money, basically.
Exactly. So, and I know I'm seeing some of the comments in here, and listen, I have no faith in any union bureaucracy anymore. And there is a very good chance that Sean Fain is not going to do what we all want him to do for UAW. I will say UAW is the one high profile union that did not endorse Joe Biden a year and a half out from his reelection. And they also are doing, I mean, everybody's done this, but they're also doing like a big, town hall kind of thing with Bernie tonight. So, but yeah, I it's really disappointing and so frustrating that now we have Sean O'Brien being held up as like the standard bearer for how to negotiate when so many of the actual rank and file workers are incredibly frustrated with the deal that corporate media is saying was fantastic. So,
yeah. Well, and because I'm such a good producer here, now that the section is over, I'm going to show the clip that introduces the section.
I told anybody we could be like, and that concludes our worst of the week.
Yeah, you can do it after, and it still works.
We keep people guessing.
Keep them guessing. Do we even want to show anyone? I mean, it's just like, do we want to show more of him? Do you want to go more?
I say no. I think we have more interesting things to talk about. He gets in.
I mean, unless he passes out, I think we're good.
If he dies on air, we're gonna have a whole show dedicated
over the desk. Let's catch that. But otherwise, if he keeps it together for another segment,
I mean, we should keep our eyes on this segment, or what's the term for that? I don't know. There's some
keep abreast. Check in.
Something.
We're gonna circle back to it.
He always forget. He looked like a window jumper a little bit. I'm just saying.
Every time I see that guy, it's just like, I mean, I always forget his name. I'm like, what's that guy? And then whenever I see him, I'm like, oh God, this fucking guy.
Yeah. He's
like,
awful.
I've never heard anything where I'm like, well, that's reasonable. Like never from that guy. It's always just something ridiculous. He's a caricature.
He truly is. And he has his own show and he's made millions off of what he does.
And he gets to go to work drunk.
I mean, well,
presumably.
I'm not going to hold that against him.
I can't say definitively beyond the shadow of the doubt.
Right.
But you don't always go to work drunk. You don't show up on set drunk, do you?
No, only this.
We do, Ron. We actually do.
That's just a one-time pass. This show's fine.
Yeah, no, of course not. It's crazy. And, this whole class war thing and I don't like the way he's talking to people. We just had that Deadline article that said, we're going to hold out against the writers until they start losing their houses. Yeah, so that's social murder, right? Like that's class warfare. They've been waging it on us for over 40 years. To say I'm going to stick up for my workers, it's just amazing what snowflakes they are that the second it's turned on them at all, we just want to live. We just want to be able to afford our homes, that they just decompress. They just cannot handle having to part with a penny. It's amazing.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think there's a chance that Hollywood, not the place, but the the concept, the community, if you will.
Right.
Although calling it that's a bit generous. But do you think Hollywood as we know it could be ending?
You mean because this isn't going to go well for us?
Well, because things have been eroding for like a little while. I mean, I showed up here in 2016, and even then, I kind of had this feeling like I sort of feel like a dude who showed up to the party right before last call. And that was back in 2016.
Yeah.
And since then, I mean, we had the pandemic, which, like that kind of exacerbated a lot of things that were already happening.
Right.
I don't think the pandemic necessarily caused anything show business wise. I think it just exasperated the cliff we were already heading towards. Right. And then you have this strike, which is basically the studios and the execs self-inflicting a wound.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but SAG's ask was very reasonable. The writer's ask was very reasonable. There was nothing unreasonable about it. It was basically like, hey, what we produce generates billions for you assholes. We should be able to afford an apartment in the city that we have to live in.
Yeah.
Not too much to ask. Not at all.
It really is. It's don't look up in all areas of society.
Yes.
The billionaires are going to cut their own throats because they don't want to they want to make up for the 0.5% of profits they've lost through this whole streaming endeavor. Even though they're making tons of profits, they did lose a smidge. So they want to get that back from the workers. And so from their perspective, they're like, no, we're already losing. And that's it.
But they're
going to go down swinging almost.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And they're losing stuff off of record profits. It's like they're making record profits. Maybe it dips like a smidge, and then they're like, we have to. It's like you're making record profits. Well, you could give. I mean, it's just
part of the problem, though, is that I mean, they could easily give, the 500 million that it would take to satisfy all the contracts, right? But if you're talking about Apple, or you're talking about Disney, or you're talking about Amazon, they are multi-business conglomerates, right? So like if they allow workers who are creating content for Amazon to chip away at the profits of the boss or show that, hey, striking works, then you've got Amazon drivers and laborers who are working for Amazon, warehouse stores, right? The same with Apple. You've got people who are creating content, but they're also, slave labor in China or whatever. So like they are, until we have regulations and politicians in this country who have consequences for anti-labor businesses, instead of giving, a $10 billion contract to Amazon the way Biden did when he keeps breaking strikes, Jeff Bezos, until we have somebody who chastises them and hits them where it hurts, they will continue just, amassing more companies under. So we have 6 monopolies who own everything. So I mean, I guess the two ways to go are basically there's no entertainment industry, or it all goes very independent. And then I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things like, part of me is just prepared for either scenario because I'm just like, the only thing keeping me here being the US at this point is like show business. So it's like, if that goes away, I'm like, okay, I have no reason to stick around. I love California. I really do. With all its faults, I love California. But does the cost of living match the quality of life? Hell to the no. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to Italy. The ticket's going to be one way, and you can hear me. You can hear me talk about. I'll be talking about stuff that's going on over there. I'll just be like, well, I got a lot to learn. Baloney, she sucks. I know that much. We'll start there. Build off
exactly.
From there.
It's different because it's like their problem. So there's like a distance from it, where like in the U.S. I mean, I think things are worse here, but also. It's our.
I think it's safe to say they're worse here. Yeah. I know, like people get so, and people have criticized me, and it's a fair criticism. They've criticized me for kind of seeing the EU and other places through rose-colored glasses. That's fair. I own that. But to say like, oh, everywhere's got their problems, it just stopped there.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, no, I'm sorry, but like social democratic places, even though I'm to the left of that,
Yeah.
they still have an infinitely better quality of
Yeah.
life than we do
Yeah.
here. I'm freaking sorry. That's
Their
just
floor
the
is much
reality.
higher. Yeah.
Way higher. Dude, I
Yeah.
was talking to an Italian colleague of mine, and he was concerned because they are raising the price of what it costs to go to medical school in Italy. And he's saying that is wrong. It is our right to an education. Anyone from any background should be able to go to medical school if that's what they want to do. And they, meet the barrier to become a doctor. They should be able to do that regardless of, what resources they have. And the big price hike that he was outraged about. And by the way, he's right. He's 100%
Right. Yeah.
right.
Obviously.
But the price hike that he is upset about, it is now nearly 2,000 euro a year to go to medical school. That's what they're upset about.
Yeah.
And as they should be, because they know it's not going to stop there. But just put that into perspective.
I know.
Think about that from our perspective.
We are the worst
a year
example of capitalism is what it is. It's like they have capitalist features, but nothing compared to us. So everything bad there is worse here. I mean, they have healthcare in most of these countries. They have
all of them. Yeah.
They have siestas still in Spain. They get vacations. They all take big ass, long ass vacations, and
they just have a much better
Italian women. They have Italian women in Italy. Come on.
Look at that.
Every time I go over there, my family's just like, so why do you guys why do you do what? Like the last time I was over there, my cousin literally just like went up to, and he's like a good bit taller than me. So he kind of like leaned in, like hovered over me, and he's just like, dude. Well, he didn't say dude because he's like Italian. That's not really like an aside for them. But he just said, Ron, move here. It's better. What are you doing? Just move here. And I'm like, dude, it's when, not if. I just don't know when.
Right.
I hear you.
Anyway,
I hear you. It is the dream. I think it's the dream.
I hijacked the show to rant.
No, our
we all agree
our
with
solution
you.
here to all our viewers is we're all just going to move to Europe. It's over.
I would love that.
We're going to have a GoFundMe up, subscribe, GoFund.
Well, that's every time people are saying, like, I'm sure you guys get this almost every day. Like, oh, if you don't love it, leave it. It's just like, hey, if you want me gone, you can donate. I'll leave. We should have a giant GoFundMe where it's just like, hey, all the lefties will take off. Just, give some money, and then you can have your neoliberal hellscape, and there'll just be way less people trying to make it any different, and enjoy it. Frickin' enjoy it.
All right. Billionaires to buy some islands, some billionaires to see the light and donate them to progressives, and we'll just leave you alone. We'll leave you alone.
Wouldn't that be great? Like, what?
Be amazing.
We got to corner Tom Steyer and just convince him
the good billionaire.
No, he's not the good billionaire.
No, I know.
But I'm saying, like call his bluff. Where it's just like, okay, you're so concerned about climate change. We're going to start a huge climate effort in this area near the world. And then we'll all leave, and you can have your little playground, and we'll work on climate change. What do you say, Tom? Nice bow tie.
Yeah, he's been pretty silent for the last 3 years, so
he's
not
a clown.
Yeah,
he's a big phony. He made all his money off hedge funds, and
he made all his money destroying the environment. And he's like, oh, I think I want to fix this. And what's a way? And you know what? Maybe he does sincerely want to fix something. I don't know. I'm not inside of the guy's mind. So I'll give, but it's like, it just goes to show you a lot of times the people with the most money have no idea what the hell to do with it. If you actually want to do something about climate change, the dumbest thing you could possibly do is run for president, especially when you're just an unlikable schmarmy goofball like that guy. Like, why would you run? What a waste of everyone's time and resources. I'm going to run for president where I won't actually be authoring any policy for the most part anyway. I could declare an executive action, but I would be fought from basically all sides, every single lobbyist. And we all know Tom Steyer would cave to said lobbyist. Well, the only person who wouldn't cave to said lobbyist, we weren't able to get in the White House in 2016 or frickin' 2020. And, so if you actually want to do something about climate change, all that money he wasted, he could have put into even some type of local effort.
Absolutely.
Would have gone further than the bullshit he did.
Yeah, that was a.
But have you considered he wore a plaid tie that really was relatable? Once in a while, I saw him in denim on denim. I mean, denim on denim is really like the people's outfit.
That is ballsy. That is a courageous move.
Was he standing next to Beto O'Rourke? I heard
on a table.
On a table. They're going to start the world's most boring folk duo.
Born to this.
You know who he kept talking to when I'm sorry, I saw him in LA at the Dems convention when they all spoke. Right. We were at a small little presser, which is crazy that they let a schmuck like me with barely credentials was into a room where I could ask these people questions. But he and Klobuchar were pals. They were like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little something there. Like,
yeah,
Klobuchar, and honestly, I'm leaking it here. It's hot news.
All right, hot news.
They were hugging a lot.
Why does Amy Klobuchar always sound like she's about to cry? Why does she sound like that? I don't agree with her on a lot. But sometimes I just hear her and I'm like, I feel I think
it's that no one likes me. She knows that no one likes her.
Need a hug or something. Are you okay? What's wrong?
I think she's got privileged white woman syndrome, which is also what Marianne Williamson has for me. She always feels like she's complaining and it's just not fair. And it just feels very exasperated with everything. That's how they read to me.
She's just struggling.
Wrong. Yeah.
It's gotta make you feel something when you are literally on the committee to try to enforce antitrust in this country, and a freaking British singer does more to rein in Ticketmaster than your entire freaking committee can. Everybody working on antitrust in the United States, call Robert Smith from The Cure and ask him how to do stuff. He's been more effective against Ticketmaster than freaking legislatures are. Too bad he can't be in office because he's not from here.
I mean, there are so many things, that's why, and I know we're going to get to this, but, the pod save guys who are always trying to excuse the Democrats who are in power, because apparently Democrats in power are the least powerful people in the world. But there are things that you can do. And, even just not giving a $10 billion contract to Amazon because they're crushing labor unions. That's one way to go. There is just absolutely no will on the part of these corporate actors to chip away at the problem at all. They just do not want to upset their donors. I mean, they just don't. I don't know. It's frustrating.
What was our topic there? Do we have one?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't.
No,
I think I did tangent stuff.
No,
it's good, but I can't remember either.
It unfolded naturally. We were on the Were we still on worst person, or did we?
Was anyone paying attention? Oh, worst person.
No,
I think we were on worst person.
Really?
We landed on something.
We were still on worst person.
Idenomics, airborne. We're spinning. We need a shot.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's time for.
Yeah, we need a shot.
Baby.
I was gonna call it.
Did I just mess this up?
We got timeline plan. But I was gonna call the shot. I feel like it's really important just to set the tone. And now because we have there we go. All right. And then we can do a timeline cleanse. Shot. Perfect. Cheers.
We can show my timeline cleanse, which will necessitate a shot. Because this is actually an anti-timeline cleanse, but the shit you see on the internet.
I'm gonna have nightmares with that in it. I think
it really is amazing when I saw that when you showed that to me earlier. Is how you can make somebody kind of look cool just by putting some music and dance. That's their whole strategy with Biden. All right, wow, that was my third drink already. Did you know that?
All right, back to the wheel. 3 drinks. What's 3 drinks?
It's 3 drinks.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Well, this is kind of interesting. This is our new little segment we're trying out. This is fine. And what we are, nice work, Pat. You got it. What we are looking at this week is Zoom has just been shown. They have a new contract apparently that you are just defaulted into all of your recordings can be used for their AI. So here's Justine Bateman, who is well, I'll let her explain it. All right,
I actually tweeted out earlier today, Zoom goes the dynamite, hard pass, because as I read it, it's going to we know you can record stuff, whatever. They're going to use you, they're going to use me, they're going to use our customer, everybody out there to train their computers. And to me, that's a little bit scary.
Well, not the reason. And first of all, I want to say it was Harvard professor Gabriella Coleman and WGA screenwriter David Slack that first posted this on Twitter. That's how I saw it. And for me, it's unethical and immoral to scrape whatever you want that's available publicly online to train your AI models, and copyright violating, by the way. Hopefully that's another topic. But these online video exchanges that are happening on Zoom, a lot of them are, well, they're private. And a lot of them have they're professionally confidential meetings. They're therapy sessions. I mean, what are they training? They've got like a generative AI video model that they're training, and they're going to watch how you cry. You've got medical assessments. You've got children learning on there. So even though children are not supposed to use Zoom, I think there's an age limit to that. Still, any of your children that are on Zoom classes, if any of that's still happening, that's being, I mean, I'm just like, you know what? Microsoft doesn't have that in their terms of service. So if you want to use Skype or Teams, or just use Apple's FaceTime.
Yeah. Hard pass.
Yeah. I mean, hard pass. Yeah.
So, during the pandemic, I had a group that we played a lot of Jackbox games, which is, adult games where you cross the line and say a lot of rude shit. A lot of them were on Zoom. So like, you mean I'm going to be on AI saying they have fair use to that? Like, why are they even watching that? Why can they?
And just for 2 years, all of our kids were on Zoom, right? All of them. So I don't know, what the age,
like they the terms and agreement, apparently.
Yeah. All the schools did. But I mean, it is such an invasion. And also, I'm not sure if she's right about Microsoft. There was an article I pulled, but it disappeared from here. But when they were talking about Zoom, they were talking about that it was joining like Google Chat. And I thought it was Microsoft that are also using your video for AI to train AI. I think, is it Bitsy? Bitsy is one that doesn't, and Signal, I think, doesn't. But the fact that they can do that and people think that they're having private conversations, it's like the thing with the Facebook, the young girl or the teenage girl who was trying to arrange to get an abortion with her mother, and they were conversing. I don't know why anybody would do this, but on Facebook Messenger or Meta Messenger, whatever. And Facebook allowed the authorities from whatever state she was in where it was illegal to procure an abortion to infiltrate and see their private messages, and they arrested her. So don't ever put down anything in writing in any of these apps that you don't want the whole world to see, truly.
And they're always caught breaking those laws. Like the Google speaker, I don't even remember what it's called. What's the Google thing called? Somebody tell me. I don't know.
Google Chat or something. I don't know.
No, the little dome things that people had in their house. The Google
Well, like Alexa is the
Alexa,
Apple or
the Google.
Yeah.
But they were caught recording conversations, and so like they all break because there's no punishment in capitalism that matches the crime that they break. So whatever crime they break, they can just throw some money at some people in politics, and they're not going to pay a big heavy price.
Exactly.
And that goes as far as like, obviously the medical system, hospitals can just deny your claims, break the law, and that at max they get like a $25,000 fine for knowingly denying a claim illegally. We're fucked is what I'm saying. So let's just move to Italy. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame too, because Zoom has proven what a useful tool it is just in our society, and so I don't understand. I mean, why would you just shoot yourself in the foot?
I know.
Just as a company, like why?
They made so much money off of the pandemic, and it still will never be enough. It will just never be enough.
Unbelievable. I mean, it was like, it already was like a bad PR look for them when they were like, we demand you all come back to the office. You're freaking Zoom. You are Zoom. What do you mean you demand people go back to the office?
Did I miss that? They did that?
Yes.
Zoom did that? Oh my God.
They were like, you got to come back to the office. It's like, you're Zoom.
God.
What the hell?
That office real estate crash, it's looking them all in the head.
That's what they're, and Biden's
fear.
really playing that fiddle too, isn't he? He's like,
He
oh
sure
yeah,
is.
you got to be like, guess what, Rip Van Reagan? No, you don't. Remote work is actually more productive. So yeah.
But
he wants to force the federal employees back. And I'm an electrician now, which I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I went to like a state
you
building.
Come to Southern California? I could use your help.
Let me know.
All right.
Off the books, we'll talk about it.
Deal.
But we went to the state office the other day to fix some lights, and it's a huge, massive building in downtown right here. And it's so expensive and it's so nice. It's all brand new, perfectly, pristine, top of the line stuff. And I mean, it must have had room for like 300 employees with offices, 2 people in the building. And so, but think about it. You could frame this the other way and look at all the money the federal government could save by keeping people at home, but they're so influenced by the real estate developers and the gas and the oil people that want them to drive to work that they don't do that. But it's fair game for any politician that's not beholden to these fuckers to come in and say, look, this can save the federal government ass loads of money.
Yeah.
Well, looking at it from bringing it back to the strikes and especially what the writers are going through. Now I know in the writing world, there's, mixed feelings on Zoom for writers' rooms or not. And I get both sides of it. I really do. I mean, I think there is good about being in person. I get that. However, I think it's awesome what Zoom affords, especially at a lot of traveling comics. We like it a lot.
Yeah.
We like it a lot. And I got to say, look, I heard about the days when you would get like amazing catered lunches and stuff like that. That was before my time. And those days are freaking over.
Yeah.
Now you're getting like a $12 lunch budget if you're lucky. And guess what? For all the money you would save on gas and commuting and all that stuff, you can afford to order your own lunch and order whatever the hell you want every day on the week. So I'm for, Zoom writers' rooms. I'm for them. I think that's a good thing. And at
least that flexibility. I mean, the flexibility of it, I think. The writers' room issue, just so everybody else understands who's not, is that like writers' assistants aren't on set at all anymore. And that's how they learn. It's like a mentorship, right? Because the way it used to be is that the showrunner, who is the head of the whole TV show, is usually also a writer, is a creative person. It's different from movies. And that person is the head producer, also the writer. And there's a room of writers, then there are assistants. And then when you get your show assigned to you, you end up being on set all the time and dealing with the director and the costumer and the actors and everything. And you don't learn that unless you've been able to have some knowledge and contact with how that whole process goes. So now writers' assistants aren't coming to the office at all. And of course, during COVID, I mean, we're still during COVID, but like before we even had testing or vaccinations or knew like, okay, it's airborne, so mask and you can ventilate, whatever, all of that. I know we still have COVID, believe me. And I love Zooming. But the point is that they are trying to remove that whole layer so that they are only going to have a few top writers. And then those people can just like farm it out and take over everything. They'll write all the scripts they'll do ChatGPT for all the scripts, and then they'll just like polish it. And so those people who are starting at the bottom now won't be trained to move up the ladder at all. Like you can't give a writer's assistant a script if he's never been on set. You just can't. And so I agree with you. I don't go in anywhere without a mask. I love the flexibility of being able to do things through Zoom, but they are using it just like everything with the pandemic. They are like the protections that we all need. Businesses are using to extract every last resource from everybody.
Yeah. Well, and they also just want, the Hollywood real estate and stuff too. Like that's the other. I mean, you could still like be in a writer's room on Zoom and then go to set. Like you can still kind of accommodate everything, but they, you know, they have no interest in doing it that way, especially since like the way the seasons run now, it's just like everywhere and you're expected to do 9 months of work in like 2.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they're making a train wreck out of everything.
It's horrible. This was just one little thing that Justine Bateman shared, and I think it's interesting to see what they can do to Michael Caine through AI. Is it just me, or did they all look the same? I need to put my readers on. All of a sudden I was like, wait, that looked a lot better when I had my glasses on. I mean, more striking. The
actor from the Clarice,
no, Michael Caine.
I think they morphed him into that guy in one of them.
Oh, to
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, it looked like Anthony Hopkins. In the bottom
but then I was like, maybe they kind of look alike anyway with the beard.
Kind of do.
Yeah. That didn't feel like the highest level of AI at work there, actually, I have to say. I should have picked a better example. All right, should we spin?
Yeah,
sure.
Well, can we mention also that we did drop a petition in the chat. If you want Zoom to not do what they're trying to do, there is a petition to urge them to make better choices.
Yeah, I did. I put it up there, and I'll put it up one more time just to see. There we go. Yeah. I picked it, Devin, because Justine Bateman shared it a couple days ago. I had a better one, actually. Should have shown the soccer one. I'll show that next week. All right, let's spin it.
Yeah, baby.
For my shot. Good shot. Oh, this is not the worst. I can handle this.
That was going very slowly on my end. Are you guys lagging? No,
maybe a little bit, but yeah. All
right, Pat, what's your timeline cleanse?
It's on me. I love. You know how much I love religion. So this is a religious Bible studies person talking to some kids.
I asked for a new God.
A new God. Wow. That's better. I've never, ever heard that before. Piper, what would you like to ask for? The options are endless.
I asked for a new God.
Guys, I'm really failing at this Bible lesson this morning. You would like, are you also going to say a new God? Okay. Guys, I invite everyone to come to the Learning Center on Sundays. We do a great job of teaching our kiddos.
She handled that well.
Love it. Love it. Man, these kids are really smart these days.
They're on it.
Like, talking around, this God seems like a prick. I want to do one. Not on board.
They're not wrong. All right.
I don't know. As an atheist, I would have been tempted to be like, well, there's 2,999 others for you to choose from.
Absolutely. There
Shop around. See what speaks to you.
All right, Pat. Are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
That's a shot. Come on, what?
That's definitely a shot.
I already poured
I'm not waiting around. I'm calling it. I've seen enough.
Cheers to the strikers. This is for you.
Amen.
Cheers.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, there we go.
This is where we run into trouble. You got what you wished for. There we go. I want a new shot. Okay, this is 5 for me now. That's a lot.
You could go on CNBC and do a story.
Yeah,
I can talk about class warfare.
Time to make a demo tape for your finance show.
if we kept showing that clip, he gets into like Marxism and communism, but it's so long and boring, and it's just him being sad the whole time. So
when you start saying that Sean Fain is a communist, like, ugh. All right.
Yeah, baby.
Come on.
This is how our show goes right here.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Nice little threefer.
Oh boy. All right. Well, the good news is,
Ron, who are you drinking? Who are we drinking on your behalf for? Who's the chef?
Who are you drinking on my behalf?
Lucy.
Well, you already did the unions, right? We already toasted the unions. To everybody, let's see. To everybody fighting for universal health care. Let's do that.
Cheers.
Which are not the National Nurses United anymore because they endorsed Biden a year and a half early. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah, they endorsed Biden, but did you see they put out a TikTok video yesterday or the day before?
No. Why didn't you pull it?
Well, I don't want to. I'm not pro them anymore. I'm sorry.
I know. I agree.
But they're saying Biden's pushing to lower the COVID protections. So you have to stop this. It's like,
oh, I did see that. Yes.
You just endorsed it. You already said you have no other choice than to vote for this guy. You pulled all the leverage you got. Now you're saying some vague, thing that's not just about Biden. It's just
taking masks out of healthcare and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this election is going to be the worst of our lifetimes. I think
it's the most important one of our lifetimes.
It's the most important one.
Ron, did you just say I'm only going to live 5 more years? Because I don't think that's even possible. I think they are going to get progressively worse and worse.
Well, yeah, probably.
Single. Oh, but it will be the worst of our lifetimes.
It'll be the worst so
far.
Yeah, it'll be the worst so far. I think they will likely get progressively worse, yes. But I think this one will be even worse than 2020, will be even worse than 2016. Yeah. I mean, I just think you're going to hear the same tired merry-go-round bullshit. You're going to be, it's either going to be Rip Van Reagan on one side, and then on the other side, you have, it's either going to be Trump or DeSantis.
Trump. DeSantis can't even crack 20%.
I wouldn't write him off. I think that guy is the most dangerous person out there, and I wouldn't write him off. He is kind of he is kind of tanking right now, but
he's really tanking. He just fired his second campaign manager, I think. He's also, I know he does well in Florida, but he does not have the gift that Trump has. As much as I despise Trump, he is magnetic for the people who like him. I don't think people feel like that. I don't think DeSantis has diehard supporters.
No, the people who like
this does. I think in Florida he definitely does.
Yeah. Well, the people that like him for the policy, which is all the bullshit that Trump spewed. They like him because it's sort of like the same reason they like Pence. They like Pence because Pence was evil. He's a Christian right evil guy.
Yeah.
So that gets him a long ways. And DeSantis is able to pull off a lot of bad shit in Florida. And they're like, yeah, hell yeah, fuck yeah, man. But then they're like, oh, you're a nerd. You're kind of a nerd.
Everything.
Wow.
And the crazy thing with Teflon Don, what's his name? Donald Trump. Oh, wow. It's really hitting me hard. Is that he does so many things that are embarrassing and disgusting, and he looks gross, and they'll highlight what he looks like in his too tight golf pants or whatever. And it just doesn't matter. But then you do that to yesterday, DeSantis wiped his face funny and kind of cackled, laughed, and that was it. That was just all over. Or
was that his Howard Dean moment, do you think? I hope so.
He's had a bunch.
That guy is terrible.
But I'm with you, Rob. I don't know that it's going to be DeSantis, but something tells me it's not going to be Trump still. I think he's in too much shit streak.
Yeah. Well, then no one. DeSantis is the only one with double digits. I think, and I don't think anyone can touch him.
But I think we're so early still. We're still looking at, we have debates start this month, right? So
that's going to be hilarious.
God damn it.
That changes it all. And, if there's a collective appeal of say a third of the Republicans say we're finally going to fucking go after Trump because he's too much of a liability. We're going to put.
But that's why he's not going to show up on the debate stage.
But
he's
I'm
not
just
going to
saying,
come.
It's too early. Now, granted, historically, you look at the power of Trump over all these dunces and people that just he could do anything, whatever. But it's too early to say. And he was such a drag on Republicans in the midterms. It's clear as all day that someone can make the argument, and if enough of them made the argument that he just can't win,
right?
Who knows?
I just think that because he's not going to show up for the debates, everyone's going to focus on taking down DeSantis, who's the next closest in line. And then
maybe, but the Republican Party can say Trump can't win, and that's an option that could happen. Just like
but they tried that in 2016, and then they saw that their rabid voters were, they actually, but they actually believe in democracy, right? They
I'm just saying, but they could. They could.
Yeah, I think it's like they don't have to. Like they don't have to rig it the same way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, we're all for the donors, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the one good thing about this year, as much as I do like Cornel West and I will be voting for him, but I'm not under an illusion. I mean, possibly he could win. I don't really think that that's what this run is about for him. So I am pretty far removed from having any huge vested interest in this. So that is allowing me to, like, I didn't sleep for 2 years after Bernie endorsed Biden in 2020. I was just so upset. I felt like that was truly the death of democracy. We were never going to get like a person who the voters actually wanted. And I guess I've just like numbed myself a little bit. So I just think this might be funny, but it'll be horrible, but it will be funnier to me.
It'll be the most entertaining. Like,
I don't think so. I think that Romney was pretty entertaining. McCain was Bush was pretty entertaining. I don't see this. This is just sort of like a run of the mill, been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a rematch or it's going to be something worse. And yeah, I just think it's going to be so nauseating, and I'm so not looking forward to the same recycled fucking ideas that happen every 4 years. These half-baked, insipid ideas that are just parroted over and freaking over, and it's so tired. And it's like all the mental bandwidth you're spending on this, you could be doing something way more productive, like a policy fight or mutual aid or running for office locally or fucking composting, even like just anything else that's more productive than fucking putting your bandwidth into this shit, because it's just the same old shit. And yeah, I'll likely be voting for Cornel West too. I definitely will be voting for whoever the green is, most likely. I don't want to be like so presumptuous to be like, well, it's for sure going to be Cornel West. It probably will, but I think it's fair to like let the primary process happen, obviously. But presumably, assuming it's Cornel West, I'll definitely be voting for him. But like, it's just the only possible win is that the Green Party gets to 5%, which would be huge.
Yeah,
but fuck,
I know.
Yes, we missed. Look, Bernie pisses me off all the time.
Me too.
We know this, but man, did we miss?
The
chance of a generation. It was a generational chance.
I agree.
There's a good chance we're not going to get another one in any of our lifetimes.
I agree.
So
AOC. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
Someone make that clip for me. I want that soundbite. I'm gonna play it every week. But we did miss the opportunity, and that's the problem, is that anyone who bought into the idea that we can take over electoral politics, we were close with Bernie, but look how far these other candidates are from mass appeal that Bernie had. Like they just don't have it, and
not at all.
And you've also got the sagging enthusiasm of the people that were most enthusiastic for Bernie, because they are the most disheartened and disillusioned realistically that you should be. So that was not a COVID cough.
It's a summer flu.
Oh, it was a summer flu. But yeah, so where do we go from here? If you put your energy into something, it shouldn't be electoral politics. Vote for who you want, support who you want, but like, sitting around thinking electing the right person is going to save us is idiot's fodder. I mean,
or you know what I say to people though? If electoralism is your bag, if you're all into electoral politics, okay, that's cool. What's your thoughts on school board, city council? That's where you can frickin' win. So if electoralism is your bag, run for frickin' mayor, run for the frickin' school board, run for city council. The right figured this out decades ago. They lined all the councils and school boards with their religious zealots, with their developers. They got it figured out. And lefties were still kind of catching up to this. But, you know, local politics, well, it is definitely still corrupt to some extent. There is way more transparency, just a lot more, because these are people in your freaking neighborhood. And some of them have more money than you, but they're still people in your freaking neighborhood. So it is way better. And that's an area where we can actually win. And we're seeing some small wins here in Los Angeles, and you're seeing wins throughout the country too. So you know what? If you love electoralism, if it's in your blood, go local.
Totally.
Yeah, well, you got the Kenneth Mieja, right? Controller.
Yeah.
Green Party. Like Green Party, he won and he's put pressure on
yes, he has.
Yeah, I mean, he's been exposing stuff. I mean, we do have a progressive slate in the city council. We still have a long freaking way to go. But you know, it's way further. I mean, we got like 4 people now. That's 4 more than a couple years ago. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous that LA only has 15 districts, but it's like, you know, I mean, if you get a couple more next time, you're almost at half. I mean, so
we just need 2 more. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you do have the biggest, like the 7th or 8th biggest army in the world, if you consider the police force an army.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot to counterbalance, but a controller can have some influence on the police. You know, that's a
big thing with him.
We have to find our ways around the system. Basically.
Absolutely.
That's one way.
All right, let's spin because we can get to the 2024 stuff. We got some stuff to show.
Wasn't that 2024? I don't even know.
No, we're just
baby.
I don't pay attention. What's the show about?
Oh my God. It's a good thing that we are almost out of timeline cleanses. I don't even know if we have another one. Oh, we have one more. Ready?
And sometimes instead of conveying our meaning, they can suggest other meanings.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
The significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Whatever we have in store cannot be known. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right, and that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
Oh my God.
I mean, if that doesn't inspire confidence.
She started it with certain issues are settled, and sadly we're living in unsettled times. Like that's
one heartbeat away from being leader of the free world. Amazing.
I mean, they're like giving Bush a run for his money.
Quayle.
Yeah, Dan Quayle.
Bush level.
I would take Dan Quayle over Kamala.
Potato. All right, let's spin it.
Didn't he also misspell potato or something? Wasn't that a thing with the Quayle?
I just said potato.
Is that why? That's why you made the joke? I didn't.
Dude, I was like 2 steps
I thought I was the
ahead of you.
genius. I was the genius for finding that collection. All right, never mind. I'm muting your mic.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, come on. We gotta just do a topic. We gotta do a topic. This is ridiculous. Yeah. A shot and a topic. This is crazy.
All right. What's our topic?
I don't know. Are we doing Biden? Are we doing Bidenomics or under the? Oh my God! All of our topics are still there.
Yeah, we gotta spin.
Yeah, you gotta spin.
All right, topics. Cheers.
I hope it's not a time There we go.
All right. This is a feel-good topic.
Let's lighten it up with some airborne AIDS.
We always like to end on AIDS. Every show.
Jesus.
Oh my God. All right. This is good news that has been kept quiet. We are now at the highest COVID positivity since May 2021.
Oh God.
Have you all been hearing that? I bet you haven't.
Lots of reporting on that. Lots of reporting on that.
All-time record high positivity has been recorded in some states, including Texas, Florida, and New York. Fantastic. Hospitalizations are up. New York City, there are more people hospitalized with COVID on August 2nd, 2023 than on August 2nd, 2020. And we're not testing hospital admits anymore. Let that sink in. Things are worse now than in 2020, yet our leaders tell us it's safe to leave home. Gaslighting at its worst.
I mean, the thing is, so acute infections, we're less likely to die from getting COVID initially, which is like, great. That's kudos to science on that. But they've ignored everything that happens after you get it initially, which is the long COVID and the death, and that it's causing brain damage and affects all your organs. And we don't know the 5-year effect of having this disease.
Right.
We know it's fucking your immune system up, but we're going to give it to kids like 10, 15 times and just see what happens.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like 16% of kids now or something like that? Like they're getting some kind of organ damage.
It's
they say right now, and I don't know how it breaks down by age. And now, of course, I'm not going to have the graphic for it, but that they expect between, I mean, this is a big span, but between 30 and 85% of people who have COVID, even if it's a mild infection, will develop some form of long COVID. But it also triggers viruses that have been dormant in your body. So people,
which is probably what long COVID is. It's probably your weakened immune system and the fact that it's activating all these things in these organs.
Right. The other thing, okay, so two things. One is, even if it's more mild, if it's more virulent, more people die. Like they said, Omicron's mild, but way more people died with Omicron, even after the vaccines, than died with Delta.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
Right. So
it's milder for a lot of people, but we're going to give it to twice as many people. So.
Exactly. And here's something nobody talks about anymore. And as much as I am not a fan of Dr. Fauci, I do think we should all hear this.
The next part of expecting the unexpected is something, again, that we used influenza as a model, and this is not like influenza. Because if you look at asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic transmission, in an unprecedented way, almost 60% of all the transmissions are from someone who has no symptoms, either doesn't have and never will have symptoms, or is in the pre-symptomatic stage. That means all bets are off about the syndromic approach. Makes it very difficult to do contact tracing. Makes it very important when we tell people to wear masks. The original thought was, well, if somebody's symptomatic, I'll stay away from them. Or if I'm without symptoms, I don't have to worry about transmitting it to somebody else. No. That does not hold when you're dealing with SARS-CoV-2. And the next is something, again, that we only appreciated a few months into this, is that aerosol transmission predominates. If you look at the slide, the thought of droplet transmission, someone who's symptomatic, they're coughing, you can actually see the bit of a spray, those droplets tend to fall down. Aerosol means it just stays in the air anywhere from hours or longer, merely by breathing, not necessarily by coughing, but by breathing or speaking. That's what aerosol means. And that was the reason why there was a concern, and we used to see outbreaks in choirs among individuals who were otherwise well. Nobody was sick. They were just there doing their thing, singing, infecting each other. That's another lesson that we learned.
Where'd Pat go? He bailed?
Yeah, bye, Pat.
He's too drunk.
He took off.
That was fascinating. That was really that was amazing. Yeah. Oh my God.
Got bailed.
So that was from March of this year. Nobody talks about it. No one talks about asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic spread anymore. And he says it's
wait, that was from this year?
Yes.
Why
March
did it
7th,
say
2023.
Why did it say 2020? Was it like
he was showing a graph from there?
Oh,
yeah. He was
okay.
showing a graphic from there. That was from March 7th, 2023.
See, here's what frustrates me about him, and I know you preface this by saying like I'm not a big fan of the guy.
Yeah,
that's the type of thing that Anthony Fauci that we just watched. I feel like that is not the Anthony Fauci you see on prime time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because he is so. And it was this way from 2020 to present. I mean, first of all, he did the same thing everyone else did, which, capitalism comes first. Public health is at best an afterthought. And I think calling it an afterthought's actually too generous.
Yeah.
But, you got to bow at the altar of capitalism. And, he's the kind of guy, I swear to God, the way that guy is on TV, you could say, hey, Tony, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? And he'd say, oh, what do you want me to have for breakfast this morning? Right. What do most Americans want me to have for breakfast? And it's like, you're supposed to lead here, dude.
Yeah.
You're getting paid the big bucks to freaking lead on this issue, and you're not leading. Instead, you're scared what people are going to think. And sorry, dude, you have to freaking lead. And if you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't have signed up for the fucking job.
Yeah.
Because this is what your life's work has come down to. And I think calling that guy a miserable failure is being too generous.
Way too generous.
And he's not working alone. He's not working solo. Yeah. It's the entire system.
But he likes his cushy job. He likes getting those big NIH grants, and they are worth millions and millions of dollars. And
And it's funny because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but it's like you see so many people. I mean, there's so many people just in our society who criticize that guy for all the wrong reasons.
right.
That if you say something about, they're just like, whoa, you don't like Fauci? Where's your MAGA hat? And it's just like, no. But I flipped a few of my more, I guess, center-leaning friends, or at least center compared to me. I have flipped a few on him because they'd be like, well, Fauci's great. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Good.
And then we'd actually talk it out. And they're just like, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, between Fauci was propped up as a responsible leftist working under Trump. Like that's how he was presented to the public. And Cuomo was propped up as the responsible alternative medicine to Trump's daily message. So they had Cuomo on TV all the time. But those two failures gave room for a lot of leftists to say they're lying about all this stuff.
Right.
And this is where the media failing to report on this stuff consistently and being trusted leaves this gap for people to say, oh, masks don't work. Right. Like basic common sense shit,
Well, they lied about so much. They even lied. This is terrible. They lied about, and this was early, I'm not going to be able to see it, but January 2021 FOIA shows that while the CDC director, NIH, POTUS, media, etc., barraged us with the message that the vax blocks transmission, you're safe, you won't catch it, you won't spread it, they were already well aware that was not true.
Yeah. I mean, and it never claimed to do that, but they still repeated it. I mean, Joe Biden said that on television.
Yep.
And I think everybody should have, and they're just like, well, everyone thought, and it's just like, I read the thing that was handed to me when I got it. Did you not?
Yeah.
I fucking read it.
Yeah.
And
when he said that, when he said that, we knew in Europe they weren't taking their masks off. So I
kept mine on.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, well, I thought you got them. I'm like, it's not foolproof. And it's like, it's so frustrating because we also live in this time of just absolutes where, there is no context. There is no, there is no nuance. There is no reflection. There is no like diving into the gray that is what we're dealing with in this. It is just like, well, the vaccines don't fully stop transmission. Oh, so you're an anti-vaxxer? No, not at all. I'm just saying like they don't fully stop transmission. It's just like, oh, so you, well, I think we should mask. Oh, so you wanna, it's like, dude, what the, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like it's like I mean, I remember one time someone called me an anti-vaxxer because I was talking about the testing crisis. I was just like, why are other countries able to get tests for less than $1 and we have a testing crisis here? Like, oh, so you're against the vaccine? What the hell? That would be like somebody has a bowl of soup in front of them and they're like, I need a spoon to eat this. So you're anti-fork? No, it's different tools for different things. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. But that's what we've been dealing with in society for the past 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. But the media has framed it as there are two options. People see, they tell the public, you see it one way or the other. You see it as vaccine relax, or it's all bullshit. There's no middle ground in any of this stuff. And they never talk about long COVID, because if they talk about long COVID and they bring any doctors on, it's a mess. They can't sustain this false reality they've sold the public on. All their gaslighting would fall apart if they knew the vax only, and they just had a study on it. I think we have a graphic somewhere. 18%, is that the 15%?
15% the vax helps to decrease long COVID.
That's it. 15%. So this vaccine that's supposed to keep all you safe from dying, well, maybe you're not going to die acutely like in the first 6 months you have COVID, but you're going to have a heart attack in 2 years from long COVID, or you're going to have cancer rates. They're connecting cancer to COVID, all this stuff, and we just don't know. So, say what you want, have your own opinions on the vaccine. I think that's fair, and you should question all this stuff all the time. But we don't question the safety of masks. We know it's an airborne disease, so we should all be pushing for better air purification systems in all the reasonable places. We should not be lowering standards in hospitals of all fucking places.
Crazy.
I mean, my friend has cancer and had to be in the cancer ward 2 weeks ago. Doctors aren't wearing fucking masks in the cancer ward.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how even that has become completely politicized. Yeah. And just, I mean, I mask indoors all the time still because it is a very small inconvenience for a very significant layer of protection. Is it guaranteed to be foolproof? Of course not. But it's a significant layer of protection. And to me, it is a very small inconvenience. And I probably will never not mask on a plane.
Oh yeah,
I prefer it. I prefer it. Why would you? And then people were like, "Well, there's like a bunch of air filters there." I'm like, "That's great. That's all well and good. I'm glad for that." But you are stuck in a fucking metal tube right next to someone. There's always going to be someone hacking up a lung, and you're in a fucking big fart machine.
Yeah.
An extra. I don't know why I haven't been wearing a mask on a plane my entire life. I mean, is it kind of uncomfortable? Certainly, but being on a plane's fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then not being sick the second you arrive and all that. Yeah.
I would always get fucking random shit because I mean, I travel a lot. I've been a touring comedian for many years, and I'm just like, why was I not masking on a plane all the time? I mask on a plane, and I have one of those little air filters, the little portable Bed Bath & Beyond one. You usually have an outlet, you can plug it right in. It's a small inconvenience that goes a long way. And it really, it doesn't bother me. I've enjoyed some awesome concerts. And I guarantee you, if you're like, hey, Ron, how was that last Hold Steady show? I'm not going to tell you about, I had a mask on. I'm going to tell you about how fucking awesome the show was. I didn't notice that I had a mask on my face.
Yeah. I don't know if people are aware, but when you're wearing a mask, people don't even know who you are. So, I don't it's like going out in public and okay, I'm wearing a mask. Are they going to track down and go, put on my Pat Cody Facebook page? Pat's wearing a mask. Nope. These are people that don't know you that you see. 99%.
I don't care if they do.
No, but I'm just saying, wearing a mask is liberating in a lot of ways. Is what I'm saying. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck.
I remember I had one. So when I was touring the Midwest this summer, I had the joy of following all the Canadian fires. Basically, they were following me everywhere. So it was like I had to wear it outside because of the fires, you know? And so, and I remember people were like, there were some people that were just like, why are you're outside? Why do you have a mask on? You're just outside. Like, not even thinking like, oh, it might be because of the fires. But you know what? I'm like, I don't want to explain myself to you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, I don't even want to give you, because first of all, it's none of your fucking business.
Fuck off.
Like what's like, what happened to the whole, like, oh, your body, your choice. Well, I choose to wear the fucking mask. I choose it. So what's the problem? I choose to do that. And if I want to do it outside, that's my choice. Now, if I'm outside by myself, I don't feel the need to have a mask on for COVID. That doesn't really make any sense. I'm outside by myself. But if there's fucking fires going on, and I have a mask on because of that, I don't owe you a fucking explanation. And if you have a problem, hit the unfollow button. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'm there. Well,
sorry, you guys got me on a roll.
Well, I just want to say one thing too. Like, I feel like the framing is all about wear a mask to help your immunocompromised friends, compromised friends, communized. If you're communist, if you're immunocommunist,
wear the mask for your communist friends.
Immunocommunist is this hashtag immunocommunist. Anyway, but I think the framing is all about helping these other people. Like, no, I mean, yes, help these other people, but Americans are selfish. We're all selfish people.
Right.
Like, you should want to wear it for your own longevity. And, you know, when it's all framed about helping.
That's not going to resound with people. Yeah.
That's my point. Like,
you got to, like, when people say that to me, I'm like, oh no, I have a really bad case of COVID right now. Fuck off. Like, you know, why are you wearing a mask? Well, I don't know. Also,
I'll give a shout out. I'll give a shout out to Jackie Cation, the comedian Jackie Cation. She had, I think the funniest response. And I think this is like, this might be in her act, so I'm making sure I give her credit, but somebody went up to her and said like, oh, you know, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And her response was, do we know each other? And that was it.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. So now in England, in the UK, they are no longer taking blood from people who have long COVID. And, you know, they're thinking that now it's millions of people who have long COVID, but it can just be fatigue, shortness of breath, headaches, dizziness, confusion, brain fog, pins and needles, and skin rashes. What's going to happen when they say, you know, everybody's getting infected 3 times a year, right? They say that like 90% of the US has already had it. And then people get repeat infections, and every 10th infection, not every 10th person, but every 10th infection, they are thinking results in long COVID. This is going to be catastrophic to our healthcare system that's already, you know, an abysmal failure.
It's a math problem. And the people that are actuaries and the people that work for insurance companies, they all know this. They're all calculating for all these people to die. And it's why they keep trying to, like, I mean, we're not going to get to Bidenomics tonight, obviously, because we're running too long. But they're trying to cool the economy to keep this class structure in place. That's really what it's about. And the reason they can't is they've killed off a lot of people, and a lot of people have left the workforce because of COVID. So there's this demand for workers, and there aren't workers, and that's only going to keep getting worse, which unfortunately is going to keep propping up the labor movement. I mean, it's an unfortunate outcome of it,
right.
But it is the only, I mean, it is the only good outcome of it.
Right. But in the meantime, they're pretty jazzed that the shorter life expectancy is giving UK pensions an unexpected windfall. Yay. You don't have enough money in the pensions, you just kill off as many people as possible. And they are acclimating everybody to, you know, what people say, oh, it's endemic. Well, so is malaria, and it kills like 600,000 people a year. You use mosquito nets. You don't just be like, it's endemic, and so you like still try to protect yourself from it.
And it's been around, and you know, like 3 years from now, if you've had it, the likely outcomes where
it's constantly evolving. AIDS, so we just keep mass infecting.
People refer to it as airborne AIDS for a reason, because it is impacting your immune system and is placing itself in your organs and causing all these illnesses to come up later, you know. exacerbating things. But
why don't we show? There's a really good video talking about the different rates of infection and how we're getting used to it. Do you want to do that and then go off on our timeline?
We won't keep you guys forever, so let's maybe show that and then
our little timeline out. Oh, a good thing. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to show?
Show the video. I think the video is important because it's educational.
Okay.
One of the things that I often talk about on TikTok with regards to COVID is how alarming it is how much we have been habituated to levels of death and disability through mass infection. And I often get a lot of pushback on that. Like, oh, it's not as bad as it used to be. It's not out there in the same way. COVID's just a cold, right? So let me show you something that I think crystallizes just how much what I'm saying is real. This is the wastewater data from San Francisco. They started testing this for COVID in the fall of 2020. The first blip on there is Alpha. The second one is Delta. This third one is Omicron, like the Omicron that swept the nation and led to 155,000 hospitalizations, that Omicron. That's BA2 and BA2.12.1 and BA4 and BA5, which as you'll notice were bigger than Omicron. But you don't hear about that, do you? This is what's happening right now, and school in the Bay Area starts in a couple weeks. That is a vertical line. But the thing that really tells this story to me is if you drew a line from Delta across, you'd have less than a month since March of 2022 where the lows have been lower than the peak of Delta. If you had told me in 2021 that that is where we would be in 2023, I would have laughed at you. That is what I mean by the fact that we are habituated to a level of death and disability. Because somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 10 infections result in symptoms that last for at least a year. Less than 10% of people who get long COVID fully recover after 2 years. All of which repeated infections make worse. And our excess deaths are still at 10 to 15% over the norm. Side note on that, generally speaking, when you've had a mass death event, you see fewer excess deaths following that event because you've already killed the most vulnerable. So still seeing excess deaths in this level is alarming. And the callousness and willful ignorance that we're participating in right now is deeply disheartening. So when I say that we are accepting a level of death and disability that truly is unacceptable, this is what I mean. That amount of strain does not bode well for the long-term sustainability of our healthcare system or our bodies.
Yeah, pretty depressing. Mask up. There are a couple of good things that we just did want to share really quickly about COVID. They are
optimism.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes, optimism.
Kudos to Dahlia Hassan.
Dahlia Hassan. Yeah.
Whatever.
3 big possible developments. Sorry, God, too many shots. Detecting C19 by a breath test, which is great that you can just breathe into it in a matter of seconds. Also, they have a device that can detect the presence of COVID-19 in the air. And they are now discovering antibodies capable of stopping several coronaviruses, potentially preventing future outbreaks so that we could have a vaccine that actually combated multiple variants.
See, that's what I think that's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
Because that's another, as a society, we've just collectively chose to ignore how a virus mutates, which is something that I mean, they teach you that in like what, 9th grade,
Yeah.
where it's like a virus doesn't have a brain. A virus just wants to survive. So it just mutates by chance. And when a vaccine works, it blocks it and it doesn't enter you. So it can't mutate. But eventually, if it has a susceptible host, it will eventually mutate. So when you have vaccines that aren't able to keep up with the variants because it's mutating faster than the vaccines go,
right,
those vaccines are going to be less and less effective at stopping transmission. I don't have a science degree.
That's crazy talk, Ron.
Like this isn't that like you were
This is why
taught
we
this
should
in
all
fucking
kept
high school.
masking, right, until everybody and socially isolating and testing and treating until everybody was vaxxed, right? Like that would have been the way to do it instead of ripping off your masks while you're blaming people who are unvaccinated.
Yeah,
Either way,
we should have
I mean,
had way more caution, and now we should have air filtration everywhere. There should be
100%.
law-required air filtration,
Yes.
which is something that we can pay for many times over.
They're
No
doing
one's
it in
talking
Illinois
about
right
that.
now, which is pretty
Good
amazing.
for them.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I wish we did it here in California. I wish they did it everywhere. It should have been in every school.
Yeah.
A lot of
They
the
should
money
have
from
done-
COVID went to cops instead of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had the opportunity to kind of like make those fully filtrated outdoor campuses. They should have done it anyway.
Yep.
They should have
Yeah.
just done it. They had the money
Yeah.
and resources to do it. They should have just done it. They
Yep.
didn't. We should have all kinds of air filter requirements. We don't. That's
Yep.
something they could pay for many times over.
100%.
And employers should have way more accountability and keeping people safe. It should have been like that for the past 3 years and counting. And it should be on the employer's time and dime or on the
Absolutely.
government's time and dime. I mean, of all places, freaking Hollywood actually set a good example for a long time.
And then Fran Drescher took away the COVID protocols, which is
right,
awesome.
which is terrible. But for a while,
Yeah, they were great.
Hollywood
Yeah.
Hollywood was kind of leading the way, which
Yeah.
by the way is a little bit frightening. When Hollywood's
Yeah.
showing you what to do,
Yeah.
that's frightening. But they
Yeah.
had extensive testing.
Yep.
And it was testing. It was like you take a freaking
Yeah.
test, and if you test negative, you're good. And if
Yep.
you test positive, okay, you got to isolate.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's just the way to freaking do it. And by the way, the test was on the company's time and on the company's dime, so
Right.
you didn't have to worry about your own test. It was
Which is why they
provided-
got rid of it.
Which is why they got rid of it.
But see, all this optimism should be spread to the public as a reason to continue protocols because we're close
There's
to
hope on the hope is on the
because
horizon.
people have such hopelessness and it's easy to just give up and like, well,
Yep.
fuck it, and
Yeah.
most people aren't hearing about the actual risks of long COVID. So they don't
Yeah.
they're not even aware.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to ignore long COVID if you want to, if you're the media. And that's what they've been doing, which is why I won't shut up about it. But
Yeah,
oh, and again,
same.
we paint these extremes like it's like we paint like it's like, well, your only two options are either
Right.
you're just going to lock down for the rest of your life, or you're going to say fuck it. Those are your only two choices.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's absurd. Those aren't my only two choices.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen.
There's another thing I just wanted to make sure everybody knows about this. There's I'm not going to say it right. Carrageenan nasal spray. This is from it's from the CDC, and is it JAMA? Anyway, like well-known scientific publications that are peer-reviewed. Risk reduction if you have been exposed to COVID is 80%, and it only costs about $20 or $22. I use this one when I've been like slightly compromised. I'm sorry, that's an Amazon picture, but it's like $22 on Amazon. You spray it in each nostril 3 times a day. I do it for a few days. Like I had to be indoors for my kids' college thing, whatever. It doesn't even matter. But I was so upset. Anyway, did it, and it's supposed to reduce it. I mean, it's supposed to reduce the the possibility of infection by 80%. So that's
we are not endorsed by this. This is not a right-wing boner pill situation.
That makes you feel like not hopeless,
But if you need right-wing boner pills, email me.
I have the good left-wing stuff. If you want the left-wing boner pills,
we got all the money in the world for that.
No,
right.
actually, I'm going to be trying the nasal thing because I'm getting ready to go to Edinburgh, so I want to, I want to take precautions, obviously as much as I can, and so I didn't get that brand though. I got two. I got Covixel, which I'm not sure because I've heard mixed things on that one. I don't know. I'm going to text you actually. We'll take this offline because I'd be curious what you use. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I use that one that I showed, and I can send it to you also. But the doctors online who I follow, like the COVID conscious Twitter, and the one right under that, Pat, is the one.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Somebody
I asked them about the one that I picked, and they didn't tweet me back.
Yeah. So online, people keep talking about Enivid, and it's from Israel. But
I know some people use that.
Yeah, and that same
I saw the
study
studies.
that I clicked that from. Enivid has much less efficacy. Sorry. Oh my God. And it's like $90 because it's from Israel. So
that's the most expensive. Yeah.
All right. So for those of those of us who can't follow you to Edinburgh, where can people find you, Ron?
Well, you can find me online. I'm at Romplacone on all the socials. I'm still active on Twitter, although who knows? I'm also on Threads and yeah, right. I'm also on Threads and Blue Sky. I'm at Romplacone on everything. Instagram, Romplacone, YouTube, Romplacone, where you can watch my pilot Loner. And I made a short film that got accepted into a festival in Rome. It's an environmental film festival.
Fantastic.
So I'm likely. Thank you. I'm likely going to be attending it virtually because it's it's
Zoom.
supposed to be an environmentally. Maybe I mean either Zoom or something else. It might be something else now. It'll be virtual. Some
Ron's going to be in porn that he didn't authorize.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to be doing that, and then my movie is going to be coming out later this year, and you guys are in it. So you guys have a cameo in my movie, which you did an excellent job. Thank you.
Good for you. Look at you, Ron.
So romplacone.com for all of those happenings. The movie should be out. My hope is by November. The movie is out. Of course, this is a micro budget that does not violate the strike in any way. We shot back in April, but yeah, the movie should be out around November. For anyone who is in Edinburgh, I'll be there August 16th through 27th at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And then I have a show in San Pedro, California, October 21st. Tickets for that are at romplacone.com. My Fringe shows are part of the free Fringe, so just show up.
Look at you. That's amazing. That's a lot. I didn't keep it all in my head, but I'm going to text you to get all those details, and I'm going to look at your...
All I can add to this, I've seen Ron in person. His stand-up's hilarious. Funnier than you would expect, which I don't know if that's an insult.
That's a total weird insult.
Yeah, I'll take it though.
No,
but you are. Yeah, you're great. I've seen you a couple times, and
I love you. But your stand-up just killed, and it's a next level of your humor that's planned versus just on a show and something. And
I gotcha.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And then don't forget badinternetbills.com to make your voice heard. Is that it, Pat?
Yeah, let's let Ron go, show the one good thing, and call it a night. Ron, love
thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. This is always a fun show. Thank you very much. Peace.
You're awesome. Bye.
All right. The one good thing.
God, he's so busy. I've done like nothing. I can't believe how much he accomplishes.
Hey, I work 3 days a week. I don't want to hear it.
All right. There's one good things really quickly. One is that in Ohio, they voted against the referendum that would have forced the barrier to voting for bills to be at 60% instead of 50%. And this was like a pre-calculated move by Republicans so that in November, when codifying abortion rights in Ohio is on the ballot, it would force more people to have to show up and vote for it.
I think the important part of this victory is that it shows that it wasn't the Democrats that stopped this. They were part of it, but it's the people standing up to the parties, both parties, really. So it's local ballot initiatives have potential. They're trying to write legislation to stop ballot initiatives, and we need to increase ballot action. So support ballot initiatives when you can. Sign those waivers or petitions as much as you can.
Yes, absolutely. And then the other one was on the strike line yesterday, as I was getting my 20,000 steps in and complaining about the heat and the way that I was holding the sign and it was tweaking my neck and then my back and my knee started. I was like, oh my God, you're a mess. And then I looked up and there was a man. It's not a great picture and I didn't want to bother him, but he was probably 80 and he was hunched over and he was walking with his sign. It's like 98 degrees. And he was just... I mean, it was really a really beautiful sight. And, I think Mariam Kaba, she does a lot of work with abolishing the prison. I think no prison culture is her handle. But she talks about hope as a discipline. And I think it's just a good thing for me to remind myself, because sometimes I feel fairly hopeless, and showing up on the strike line, seeing other people there and seeing somebody like that who has every excuse in the world not to show up. I mean, and that was pretty moving. So there are some good people out there.
Amen. It reminds me of going on hikes. I used to go on hikes a lot, and I'd be suffering, and there'd be some like 90-year-old guy with a cane and his wife just passing me. How the fuck are you doing it? But determination and kudos to them for being out there. That's what.
Absolutely. You all are awesome. We love you guys. Keep punching up.
Cheers. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for everybody who's still fighting for anything. Keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye, everybody.